want to make sure I'm not missing something in the moment, you know?
Right. Do you want to send me the questions that you want me to ask you?
Come on.
Yeah, where did this meticulousness come from?
Explain me that word. Particular?
Meticulous, like this, the way you are, like
I think it's a little bit of German culture and also just me being a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And just trying to... Sometimes you get easily misunderstood, so I want to make sure that I'm touching base on everything I wanted to.
Uh-huh. Is that something that's happened, like you've actually been like a victim of being misunderstood?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a victim, but it's a lot of people wouldn't really know what I'm doing or wouldn't really understand where I'm coming from, what's going on. So there's a lot of stereotyping or like miscommunication going on. Right.
We should discuss this more in detail.
Are we recording already or?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna do I have a little pre-recording.
Oh, then I can talk more frank with you. I thought you already recorded.
No, go.
Yeah, it's a lot of like people, they try to put me in boxes. I told you last time, they think like, oh, must be involved with this guys because how people don't understand what I'm doing basically. So it's about time to put some light on that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm gonna talk really frank, as I told you. I'm gonna tell them like being a celibate and whatnot. So.
Okay, all right, that's right. Okay. So first, if you could silence your phone, just to make sure. This is your mic, obviously. Try to speak towards me and try not to speak left or right. Once you speak left or right, it sort of just fades away. And I'm keeping my eye on the monitor here. So just give me a test.
Hi, Julia Lang.
What did you have for lunch today?
A Red Bull and some Kinder chocolate.
Oh, it's very German of you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just adjust. And you're comfortable there in that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Don't tap on the table, please. Or don't clap and make sudden loud noises. It hurts the ears of my... Yeah, people do that. People talk like this.
I'm sure, unconsciously.
And then my audio editor's like, ah! All right, checking levels. Levels look good. Clock is ticking. So again, I mentioned this before, but this will be completely edited. So, it's not a full taping. Like if you say something and then after the fact, you're like, you know what, I kind of don't want that in. Just say that. Like the last 5 minutes, just take it out.
Okay.
And then we could take
and
it
also,
out.
if you say a particular word I don't understand, I can always ask you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we could start it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Easy.
Amazing.
Let's see. So, keep it real, obviously.
Yeah.
I might occasionally look down, but I'm just writing notes.
No, please, makes it easier for me.
It makes noise when I write on this metal table. Okay. I'm going to take 10 seconds of room tone right now. So just complete silence for 10 seconds so I can take the sound of the room. Okay, cool. All right, so you are a person of mystery, as you mentioned, but as other people have mentioned too. There's a lot of like, what do you do? Who is that? Where did she come from? Right? Like.
Very true. Yeah.
So
I'm happy to finally put some light on the stuff I'm actually working on and tell the world a little bit more about myself and my work.
So who are you?
I'm Julia Lang, born in Africa, German, but it's like my story goes a little deeper because I was born in Africa. My parents are missionary workers, so they went there, worked for free for 6 years, and I was born there, stayed there until I was 5 years old, was speaking Kiswahili fluently.
What country in Africa?
Tanzania, East Africa.
Okay.
I was born under the Kilimanjaro, epic scenery.
Wow.
And
what's it like in Tanzania? Is it like city or rural?
It's very, very nature driven. Well, now I have to reveal my age because I was about to say like 30 years ago. It's like it was like pure nature and very you can't compare it to anything in Europe.
All right. And so you were there until you were 5 years old, you said, right?
Yes, and then I went back to Germany, where my parents are from, and I'm completely German.
And what kind of passport do you have?
Well, I had to make a decision because 5 years ago you had to decide. Now I'm actually applying for both, which makes a lot of sense. It's always good to have German and Tanzanian.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there an advantage to having a Tanzanian
I think it's never a bad thing to have both of them.
Right.
Why not? So yeah, I'm
Do you
excited.
still go back to Africa?
I did go back when I was 8. After that I didn't, but I'm planning to because my parents, they're not getting any younger, so I want to go as a union back together where I was born and check
They're
it out
living in
again.
Germany now?
Yes.
Okay.
And Africa was a very, very monumental time for me and still is. Like I never really felt white. I always felt like I'm colored with no boundaries because it really shaped me those 5 years. So yeah, I never really felt like I belonged to Germany when I lived there.
Yeah, but did you feel like you belonged to Africa too?
I rather felt like I belonged to a more colored community. And like a more free spirit thinking community. Yeah. German is very conservative and trying to
monocultured, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it was kind of hard for me growing up as a teenager because I've been I asked my mom in the age of 4 to sew me dresses, particular exactly. Mom, put this color, like this shape. So I was always very creative and fashion driven and had my own mind. And yeah, that's something unusual for German.
Yeah. So, what part of you is Asian?
Everybody thinks Lang is Asian, but it's actually a very typical German name.
But you look Asian, so you're not Asian, not even 1%.
I'm 100% German.
That's so,
no mix.
That's so weird to me. Okay.
I went last week. I went with Bix to Naomi Campbell's after party for her award. And I wanted to sit on the top of the couch, and next to us were the Kardashians, and they were sitting on the top of the couch, and I asked the girl next to me, can you help me to lift me up there? And she was like, well, you don't look as Caucasian as them. I don't think if you can fit on there. So people actually think like I'm a mix or something.
Wow.
But I'm not. So.
Okay. All right. No disrespect. You could.
No, I love it actually.
Right.
It's nice to be mixed, so.
Yeah.
I keep the mystery open. Whatever you think I am.
Well, Lang is the confusing part, but I didn't know that Lang was a common. German.
It's one of the most common names in Germany.
Spelled that way, Lang.
Yeah.
Okay.
It means like long.
Oh, okay. I see. All right. So you're in Germany. What city?
A very small town close to Munich, actually where Puma and Adidas is being manufactured.
Oh, like
Nuremberg?
Oh, Nuremberg.
It's very close to Herzogenaurach.
Okay.
That's how you say it in German.
Okay.
Herzogenaurach, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're very close to Adidas and
yes.
Puma. Okay. And then where else have you lived, after that?
So I graduated my bachelor in Nuremberg, and then I always felt like I wanted to live in New York my entire life. It was something I was always graduating to.
Yeah, graduating to.
Yeah. But I couldn't live there because I'm a European. You can't get a visa. So I came after my bachelor and I did a 3 months internship here at a marketing agency.
Okay.
Was amazing.
Here in New York?
Yeah, here in New York. Right after I graduated.
Before you get there, I want to know why New York was this thing that you wanted to come to.
Sometimes you can't really put a name on what you have in your guts. I was like, maybe movies, and then me and my brother, we begged our parents, I think in 1989 to come to New York.
Yeah.
And my parents don't come from money, so they had to save 5 years to fly with me and my brother to New York to be here for a week. And it was always a dream of my life.
So you came for vacation and it just infected you basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I wanted to live here, but there was no way. And then I did the internship here in 2009 for 3 months. It was amazing.
After college or?
We have a little different situation in Germany, but I went to, I think, comparable to college and then university. So I graduated my bachelor in Nuremberg.
Yeah.
And then after that, in 2009, when I graduated, I went to New York for 3 months to do an internship at a marketing agency.
Marketing agency.
Yeah.
Right. And
not a big name.
What were they marketing? Who
it was
were your
a small office. I can't even remember. A lot of banks and nothing major.
Okay.
But I just wanted to be here, you know? So yeah, it was unpaid. So I invested a lot of money actually to do that internship.
Yeah.
But I always knew, am I going to help?
Did you have to go back after the internship?
After the 3 months, yeah.
Okay.
So then I was heartbroken. I was like, oh, damn. Seriously, it was a tough. I was like, okay, I licked blood, but I can't have it anymore. So then I was like, okay, shit, what's comparable to New York in Europe.
Yeah.
And then I was like, London. And I've been there many times and I loved it. So, yeah, I found a job after I finished university and I did PR for Marni in London.
Oh, really? Okay.
Lived there for a year.
Marni's like one of the dopest brands. It's like,
yeah, I love it.
How did you land that job?
It was in 2011.
Well,
I did my major was in marketing and trade and commerce, so.
And I assume you were already into fashion. You had to be. Okay.
I've been like, maybe we can touch base on it later. I've been traveling to Fashion Week since 2009, all main force, twice a year, and that's always something. And back then I had my own blog, and like, you know, it was always something. You're passionate about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. And I did it for a year. Wasn't really paid as much. Wasn't really me. So then I moved to Berlin after London, and that's when it all really started. Like that's when I started my own agency, and luckily, we don't have that department store here in the US, but it's comparable to Saks Fifth Avenue. They launched a new division, and they asked me to like launch it, produce their first event, and do their whole digital branding. Okay. Back in 2012, and Instagram wasn't as popping as it now, but it was still relevant, already relevant. And yeah, I was like shitting my pants because I didn't really had experience, but I'm never saying no in life. If it comes to me, it's for a reason. So I signed the job, and I was like from a home office, so I was able to travel more, and I performed amazingly. So I was like, okay, wow, this really works out. And then from that point, it just grew and grew and grew. Yeah. So you're like sort of meandering through Europe, trying to find your way back to New York, right? Basically, but I was never really something close to me. I never really thought it could happen because I would have need to marry someone or like being tied. And like, but even I've been being tied to one company, and I'm such a free spirit. So then, like, one of my best friends, she's like a big pop star from Tokyo, and she used to live here, and she introduced me to Rihanna's photographer, and he's German. So he told me, why don't you apply for an O1 visa? It's like an artist visa, and you're like totally open. You have the freedom. It's like every three years you renew it. I was like, oh wow. And luckily, because I've been investing so much in myself and been doing all those fashion weeks, I got a lot of press. Was in Vogue, like all magazines you can imagine, and they needed like 150 pages of press and like references. And I've been traveling so often to New York too, and built such a good community that I applied for it. My lawyer got it through, and an O1 visa is very difficult to get. It's one of the most difficult. Like Drake, like all the big names are not from here. They have it. Right. Okay, so you apply for the O1, and so I guess when magazines were like showing you, they were like mentioning your name too. Okay, cool. And so you get the O1, and then you still need a job though. So then in 2014, when I was living for 2 years in Berlin, actually everything was going great. I had like a lot of like time to travel. I had a good income with this department store. But I always felt like that's not what I want. There's more, and I feel like I'm very big on my intuition, and I always knew New York gonna lead you to some ways, like some roads you would never get otherwise. So what was the question again? How did you finally, even though you got the O1 visa, you still have to... Yeah, exactly. So then I told my parents, because I don't have any family in the US, I told them, okay, I'm coming here. They want the best for me, but it was still not the easiest, because your only daughter is like moving across the ocean. And I don't have any savings, to be fair. I was still young. I didn't really... But I was like, you know what? You can do that. There's something coming out of it. So I came here, slept on my friend's couch in New Jersey with not a single penny of savings for the first 2 months. And I came in August, and in September was Fashion Week. So obviously I was still like every event Fashion Week, build more and more contacts. And then I just got a new social media client. And then everything, I started very, very humble. From sleeping on my friend's couch in Jersey to moving in like a tiny room in Harlem, and then step by step, now living in the heart of Manhattan by myself, and like having so many clients. It's just a lot of hard work and sacrifices, because I haven't been on a vacation in 5-6 years. So this is 2014 that you moved to New York. Okay. So fall 2014, Okay. And it just so happened to be Fashion Week the month after you came here. And so even though the Fashion Week was in New York, you had enough contacts that you could still
infiltrate and get into that fashion week, right?
I've been doing this since 2009.
Okay.
So.
But even the New York one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did all the 4. Like I did New York, London, Milan, Paris. That's the schedule. Yeah.
So when you go to the New York Fashion Week for the first time as a New Yorker,
as a New Yorker,
are you like, I got to get money now? Like I have to make a living somehow, right?
Absolutely. I mean, New York is super expensive,
yeah.
But I feel like after moving here, I can't call myself a New Yorker yet. So I was just feeling that it could work out, but I was still also applying for jobs which were like way lower than I was capable of.
Just to
survive,
yeah.
But then it just like came to me. Like I started like as this brand manager, which I started like the second week I arrived in Manhattan. I got a job offer as a personal shopper in Saks Fifth Avenue. And
for a particular person or for Saks?
For Saks.
Okay.
A personal shopper.
Right. So when you go into Saks and like they say they give you their business card and then they keep in touch with the customer.
I think they contact me over LinkedIn or something.
Okay.
And obviously that's nothing I want to do or like nothing I'm
interested in, no?
Yeah, but then I was like, shit, but you have to survive. You just came here, you don't have savings. So I think I took it, but I left after a week or something.
Okay.
And then like I was like super blessed because in Germany Soulbox is like this big sneaker.
For sure.
Yeah. And they have like a female version called Onigo they came out with. And they asked me if I would be willing to write for them monthly. And they paid me, excuse me, on a container basis. So, you know, it's just more and more.
Say that whole thing again with Soulbox.
So Soulbox, they have, which is like a big sneaker store retailer in Europe. They opened a female version called Onigo, and they contacted me and asked if I would be willing to be like, it's called Onigirl, like a face for them and like writing for them, trend forecast, my own personal opinion. They gave me a lot of freedom. Like I have to submit 5 articles a month and they would pay me on a retainer. Still do 3 years after. So it's just, you know, a blessing.
Do you remember a big break that happened in New York? Like you mentioned the Saks thing, you mentioned Soulbox. Was there like a moment where you're like, holy shit, like I'm really here now, like this opportunity hit me?
I think a lot of small things, but the biggest one I would say last year, when I started working with Bigs. That was very monumental.
Right, and that's when I think you sort of, even though you're out there doing your hustle, like that's when you sort of, the spotlight was shown on you now. Yeah.
Way more, for sure, yeah.
So how did you connect with Biggs?
It's a long story if everybody has time.
Yeah, go for it.
So he had 2 pop-ups for his reasonable. Let's do it new.
Okay.
So he had pop-ups for the 20th anniversary of the Reasonable Doubt album from JC.
Right. It was an anniversary year for Reasonable Doubt, right?
Exactly.
What was it? 20 years?
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
It came out in '96.
Yep. Okay. I remember. They came out with merch for it.
Exactly.
And, okay.
Super dope. It was like one in LA and then the second one in New York.
Okay.
And I'm also big on not taking any no's in life because I remember I was invited at, I think like back then from his assistant or something, and the whole block was shut down.
Yeah.
I remember Ebro and nobody could get in. I was like, no, fuck that. If I'm here, there must be a way.
Yeah.
So like I worked my way through and I got in. Believe it or not, it was like super almost impossible, but I went in and I bought this dip dye shirt with the Rockefeller logo.
Yeah.
And I wore it like a week later. I posted it on Instagram. Biggs happened to repost it on his account, and then I'm always like so business savvy and driven, so I checked out his Instagram and was like, this dude is a legend, and what he's like, the whole quality, the whole branding is so off. He could like market his whole digital presence so differently.
How many followers did he have? Do you remember back then?
20,000, 19,000.
And this was just like how long ago?
So I contacted him the first time, less than a year.
Less than a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn.
What is he at now?
Almost 150.
Wow. Okay.
And his engagement is insane.
Okay. Like, so you looked at his social. Wait. First, you posted something from the event.
Yes.
Then he reposted it, and then you looked at his profile, and you thought it was shit.
Yes. And the good thing is, at that point, I've been working with so many other talents, so this wasn't something new. Like starting from working with brands, then so many other talents got in touch with me, from NBA players to actors, also from Germany, a lot of like public figures, and then I wasn't really shy contacting him. So
Yeah.
I, like, very unconventional, I DM'd him and I was like, we should have a meeting. I think there's a lot of potential with your digital presence. And he didn't reply. I DM'd again. He replied. He was like, sure. What are you doing? What can we do? So then a couple weeks forward, we finally met, I think in July. Sat down. I told him what I can bring to the table, what I think is the vision. And the chemistry was there from the first meeting. And a couple weeks later, we traveled the world together. I did the Nike launch with him. It's like so many...
When you met him, when you had the meeting with him and you sort of secured the job, for lack of a better word, was his Nike Air Force One, the Rockefeller Nike Air Force One, already in the works?
I think in his mind, but he didn't verbally tell me.
Okay.
I think he had meetings with them already, but he didn't really had a conversation with me about it.
Gotcha. So, let's pause here while the ambulance is flying by. Good. Okay.
I think I'm going a little bit too quick. I have a lot of stuff which I
No, it's okay.
didn't really...
What are some of the things that you wanted to... We could touch back on it.
Well, I wanted to be very, like, encouraging to younger people that it's always good to believe in yourself and to bet on yourself, because that's what I've been doing since so many years, and
I'll ask you that
leading me to where I am
I'll
now.
ask for like a little bit of like advice stuff.
And the stereotype too, maybe, that people...
Got you.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So so he probably, you're saying he probably had it in his head that...
I'm sure he did.
Hold on. I kind of knew that was going to happen.
Did it not happen before? I'm sure it did. I didn't even pay attention.
No, it didn't. I have one ear open to that, yeah. And you know what? There's like so much traffic on the street that it's probably just sitting there like sirens blazing. When do you go to Paris?
Tomorrow.
Oh, wow. What time?
Midnight.
Okay. Cool.
So we still have the whole day, Sunday.
Yeah. I'm glad we did it here, because
Me too.
Paris is going to be...
Because now they're also doing the Tiana Taylor listening on Thursday in Paris, and like it's going to be crazy.
Wow.
When are you arriving again?
I arrived the 20th.
That's what?
Wednesday.
Okay. Let me know if you want to go to the listening.
Okay.
I can put you.
Okay. Did Kanye do that album too?
Yeah.
Wow. So
It's the last one. So last night was Nas, and then Tiana's the last one.
Talk about output, right?
Yeah.
All right. So
Bigs with the Nike.
Is it really gone? It's like...
I think it's coming back.
I think it's far enough away now. Okay, cool. All right. So you met with Biggs, but he didn't yet tell you, like, hey, I've got this Air Force One dropping, right?
No, he did not. But even without knowing that,
Uh-huh.
I could still sense that there was like some energy around him with the pop-up, and I didn't really know what's the next move, but I could tell, because you could also physically tell like so much change going on. He used to be like this quiet, bigger guy, and now he was out of a sudden this, like, he was always good looking, but now he was like this in the limelight, super fit, outgoing guy, doing all the interviews you can think of.
Yeah.
And I felt like, okay, this guy's up to something. Let me be a part of that.
That's very observant of you, I have to say.
I'm super observant, I have to say too.
Well, like, I've known of Biggs from a kid, right? Through Reasonable Doubt and stuff. And, you know, I have a brand staple, and we show at all these, like, trade shows and conventions and stuff. And recently, in the past couple of years, like, Biggs would come by into my booth and be like, yo, what's up? I just wanted to see what's going on. And of course, at first, I'm, like, flabbergasted that he would come. But then in retrospect, I'm like, why is he in my booth, like, checking? And I could see you in retrospect, he probably had his radars up and he was just learning about what's going on in the culture, right?
100%. Whenever we travel, we make sure to hit up local stores. We he's big on research, and he wants to learn about everything. He's the most hardworking guy I've ever met, so that's what he does.
Right. Okay. So I want to go back to that meeting.
Yeah.
You DM'd him, you sat down, you had the meeting. I mean, it's one thing to get a guy to, like, answer your DM and sit down with you in person. It's another thing to be like, here's what I can do, here's how much I want, sign the check.
Yeah,
Is that what you accomplished that in that one meeting? Or
No.
Okay.
No.
So talk about how you got him to be an actual client.
Yeah, so the chemistry was there from the get-go, but then he was a little hesitant because I also know what I'm worth, I know my rates, I know what I can bring to the table. So it's often, people are often shocked, clients, by what it takes or what it costs and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
So then we had our second meeting, I think a week later, and I showed him some mood boards or layouts, how his Instagram should look like or what we can do. And he was like, okay, I like the direction. And I told him we should always like have a professional photographer with us. Like when you met us in Dubai, I took Eric Hercules with us.
Yeah.
So I have so many people I work with. So I told him we always should have, like, we shouldn't take pictures with your phone. There should be some professional team with us. He was like, okay, I like that. And then I think he mentioned at the third meeting that the Nike launch is going to happen, which was like, I think 4 weeks later. Everything happened so quick.
Yeah, yeah.
So then we found a way to close a deal. Yeah.
Close a deal. Okay.
I was like, at every meeting with the Nike situation, I was a part of it. I did the whole production with him, the shoot here in summer. Then we flew to ComplexCon, where the shoe was launched in November. With Bix, when we travel, it's always 14-hour days. Like, we work nonstop. We're super focused, but we are so productive. So that's why we also flow so nice, because he works extremely hard. I have the same work ethic, so it just flows, you know?
Right. Okay. Wow, that was a lot. That's awesome. And then, so is he sort of like your main focus now in terms of all your work? Because he's the most public of the work that you do.
That's only because with the other talents I have to sign non-disclosures, and he's the one who actually really wants to promote me. And like with him and me, it's very out there.
Yeah.
With my other clients, I have other brands I work with. These are public too. But with talents, they usually want a non-disclosure because they want their following to make them believe it's like like, you know, it's like
they're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it's a little tricky. That's why I also can't promote my work as much. But I get it, and like it's also mouth to mouth. Those important people, they tell other celebrities or whatnot about me.
Right.
So and then
you can't even say it now.
I mean, it's like from athletes to actors.
Okay, I wish you could say, but I guess you can't violate the NDA.
I mean, I can tell you brands. I work with Def Jam Records, so you know what artists I signed with Def Jam Records, and I work with brands like Inomini, Table Studios from LA. It's a good range.
Okay.
And we have to talk also about ComplexCon one more time then.
Why?
With JC, walking into JC's house and everything.
Oh, sorry.
Phone on silent.
I know, that was my alarm. Wait, walking into Jay-Z's house. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's tell that story now. So go back to ComplexCon. You're there. You're dropping the Air Force One. Yeah,
so ComplexCon, we dropped the Air Force One. It was like a 2-day of like madness. 15-hour working. Yeah. Yes, I have barely slept. But it was amazing. Like super dope. And then Monday, we were supposed to fly at night to Florida for another client of Bix who I was signing to for digital. And JC hit him up, and he was like, "Hey, come to my new house. You haven't signed my sneaker box." Because this was like a thing. If you got a sneaker and Bix didn't sign it, it's not official. It was like a running joke. So and
when Jay-Z calls and says you didn't sign my sneaker box, you go where he is, right?
We were actually on the way to a meeting, and like I was sitting next to him, and I felt like it was like so early in our relationship. So I was just looking out the window and thinking to myself, "Wow, this is really happening," coming from a small town in Germany. So then they hang up, and Bix goes like, "Well, he has a new house, and he wants me to come by and like sign his boxes." I think he had like 10 of them or something, you know. And I was like, yeah, I can wait somewhere in a Starbucks, do your thing, because I felt like, of course, that's like the dream vision, but I felt like, no, that's too much. As much as I would like to, but...
So you offered, you're like, I'm going to just wait in the cafe.
Yeah, I was like, no, do your thing. And he was like, but yeah, hold up, let me find out. So I was like, I didn't ever think it's going to happen. So Jay got back to him, and he was like, if you trust him or her, he didn't even know who he's with, it's fine to me. That's all I need to know. So then I was already like, it's just so fulfilling to get so much trust and team play, and So Biggs was like, yeah, you can come. I was like, fuck, I didn't sleep the entire weekend. I'm dressed like a bum. I'm not even prepared.
I love that your reaction was like, fuck.
Because
like
I'm a perfectionist,
right.
you know?
Let me wait at the Starbucks, please. Like,
yes. No, but I mean, obviously, it's like the biggest honor and the biggest like dream or like motivation. So, okay, we drive over. It was like this huge 88 million new mansion, barely done yet.
Yeah.
We walk inside the living room. He was sitting there. The children were like upstairs. You could hear them.
Yeah.
I think Beyonce was getting ready to pick up Ivy from school.
Beyonce was home too.
I didn't see her, but she was home. Yeah.
In one wing somewhere.
Yeah.
Like...
Wow. So I was just being quiet.
Is there like security everywhere?
Yeah. You walk in and they didn't even want to let Biggs in first. They were like, who you here for? So, but very friendly, very warm. Like, and the second I walked in, I didn't feel like I'm a stranger. Yeah. Like super nice and welcoming, and made me feel like I'm a part of.
Yeah.
So then I was sitting there. I was just being quiet. Like, Emery was there too.
Who you know?
Yes, he's a friend of mine. Yeah. And then we were sitting there for a couple of hours, and it was just very so humbling and motivational.
Yeah, definitely.
Me coming from like this small town in Germany and having all those visions, and people always tried to put me in boxes or like try to understand me and couldn't. Why are you traveling to this fashion weeks and why are you dressing like this? And I always say, like, I don't dress for the job I have, I dress for the job I want.
Right.
And you can put this in anything in life, not just about your clothes.
Great advice.
Yeah. So, and then fast forward, like the next day we had the meeting in Florida, and Biggs was staying a little longer, and I flew back to New York, and I was sitting on the plane and I actually started crying because I was so happy and like fulfilled that life is actually putting me in such positions and like making everything available, which I never thought before would be possible.
Like in that 3 day, 72 hour, you couldn't even process it while it was happening.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Still until now, it's still like, I'm like, wow, this really happened.
Yeah. When you, I like the story that you told that when you first presented to Biggs, you sort of showed him what you thought his digital presence and his whole persona could be like. Were you afraid that, like, if I present all this, what if he just steals it from me? Because I know a lot of creatives are like, I'm not going to show you what I can do until I get a check, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a risk in life.
But you were willing to do
Absolutely.
it?
Like, even, like, I now, like, I have my first personal assistant since a couple of months, and it's always like, okay, what if you teach people all of your knowledge and, like, everything, and then one time they're going to start their own company with the same knowledge? It's always a risk.
Yeah,
and the same if you show a talent or a company or a brand your vision and give them a mood board in a direction, can always happen. But if you don't try, then you also don't win.
Yeah. So when someone asks you, like, what's your job? What do you do? What's your succinct answer?
Well, it's difficult, but I think, like, I run a creative agency, and we're specialized on digital branding, image consultant, event production, and now more and more PR facets are coming to it.
Okay.
I went with Biggs to Paris Fashion Week in January, and I helped him to be at every front row. I got the security, the hotel situation, so it's a lot behind the scene going on.
A lot of logistics, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, because I guess that's part of the image, right? You could argue that image is like, make sure he looks good, make sure there's a good photographer, but if he's getting denied at the door of the fashion show, that's not good for his image.
I agree 100%, and it's good that you're picking up so quick. That's image consultant.
Yeah.
I'm telling him, like, what's smart, what's a smart move for his whole... Yeah. That sounds like, for a lot of people who might be listening to the show who are young and getting started, that's like a dream fucking job. Is it a dream job? It's 24/7, it's around the clock, especially social media, but it is a dream for sure. I'm like happy that I'm doing what I love to do, but it's never just glamorous. It's 24/7, as I said. There's weekends is for me like a day during the week. Right. Christmas, my clients call me. We have to post this. We have to like blah, blah, blah. So there's no vacation. There's no weekend. There's no night. Right. Do you actually control, like, you post on his Instagram? It's case by case, but a lot of talents request myself to do it, but obviously there's only so much I can handle. Yeah. So I have a team they help me with. Okay. But yeah, it depends. Okay. And for someone starting out who wants to one day be like an image consultant or, you know, doing this type of work, what can you charge someone for this? And that's an honest question. Like, I actually don't know. A talent or a brand?
a person, a talent?
So it's case by case. You have to negotiate. You have to know your worth. You have to know how much it takes. So I would say, especially New York is different than any other city because the lifestyle is so expensive in New York.
Yeah. Like a starting rate, like a you know.
It's between 3 to 6,000 a month for one person.
Okay. So in other words, if a quote unquote image consultant came to me, Jeff Staple, and said, Jeff, you need help on your image. I'm going to help you.
I would charge you $5,000.
Okay.
And that's still pretty fair, I would say. Okay.
All right. And then do you usually work it out like month to month, or you try to get like a contract?
Yeah, obviously, always a contract. And I'm big on a 12-month contract.
Yeah.
I don't like to work short-term. Mm-hmm. But there are always like different scenarios, but nothing under 6 months. Usually 12 months on a retainer base. Right. That's what I do with all my clients.
And I think retainer is good too because the job is 24/7. You can't really like turn off the clock, right?
Yeah, I don't do that. That's like... I work way more than you would work in any other job. And it's just social media. You have to be active 24/7. So, yeah.
Can you recall any, like, crazy horror stories? Not horror, but, like, stress. Like, because the job looks so glamorous, can you recall, like, a super stressful situation?
Well, it's crisis management 24/7. It's, like, stressful all the time.
Really?
Since I moved to New York, the amount of gray hair is, like, I'm not joking.
Why? But, like, for instance, with Biggs, when he drops, like, a Nike... Why is there crisis? It's all good, isn't it?
Biggs is one of the easiest clients I have.
Okay.
He's like very with him it's like a blessing to work with.
Why do you think he's so easy to work with?
Because he values my work. He values what I'm bringing to the table. He knows that I'm the best in what I offer. And he trusts me.
Right.
But that's like what I say goes back to chemistry. You don't have that kind of relationship with every client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the same with our design studio. Like, clients who trust us, it's great. And then there's clients that are like every hour, like, hey, what's going on? Can we get a report?
Exactly.
Like, can we have a meeting?
Exactly.
Like, you can't even do your job, you know?
I decided myself to cut some of the contracts off earlier than in the 12 months period because it was getting too much.
Right.
If they don't trust you, if they like are too much on you, you can't handle it. It's like already so diverse and like it's around the clock. So if a client doesn't believe in you and trust you, it's too much.
Yeah. And in this business, how do you go about getting new clients? Is it all word of mouth, I would imagine?
It's word of mouth, and then the past, I would say 9 months, I've been like, it's so much important events, and like so many people noticed me, noticed what I'm doing. So I actually get more approach than I can actually take on. Yeah. Which is a big blessing. So I deny a lot of new clients, but yeah.
Well, it's funny because your social media presence is almost like a talent that you would work with. Like, you're becoming someone now.
I'm a brand myself.
Yeah,
you're
a
always
brand
been.
yourself. Yeah. So while you're out there saying I service other people, you have to service yourself too.
Yeah, and that's like a big other component because it's also like I'm a perfectionist. So I make sure that's what I'm saying. Like the past 5 years, I barely had any vacation. My vacation is traveling to fashion weeks, making sure to be at important. We went to Seoul, Dubai, Complex Con, NBA All-Star Weekend. There's like so much like
ends.
Yes.
Right. How does sleep work for you?
It's tough.
Because I think your clients are in all time zones too, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, it's tough.
Do you get 8 solid hours?
I need a lot of sleep. I don't know if it's a womanly thing, but I need sleep. So I often just like put my alarm on a certain time because you cannot just post randomly for your clients. It has to be a strategy behind it. Your target audience, everybody's different. So
you have alerts set throughout.
Yes.
Yeah. I can tell you're calendar like freak, right?
I try to be organized, yeah. And I try to deliver the best I can. So you have to post a certain time for each individual client.
Yeah. And do you think that there's a maximum capacity for how much you can take on in terms of work? Definitely,
but my goal is to have one of the biggest agency in the world. So the more clients I get, the more people I can hire.
Tell me about any like challenges you might feel about taking your work ethic and what you've learned and passing it on to someone else.
It's the most difficult thing ever. I'm noticing more and more. I switched my personal assistant 3 times in the past 3 months.
That sounds like a TV show. Like, you keep firing your personal assistant.
I mean, I'm not like a mean. I'm very like open, and I have a dialogue with them, and I tell them why, and everybody's super like, okay, I get it. And I'm asking for a lot too. If you work with me, because I'm delivering, I work I'm a very quick and like I'm on fast pace
Yeah.
agenda. So
And a lot of people mistake that for being like a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not putting feelings there. You're not like trying to say like, oh, let me tell you something. Like, you're just
I try to find a balance, and that's like the fine line.
Yeah. But just get the job done, right? You're not about like here to make best
and it's
friends.
hard, as you said. Like, I'm so passionate and so on top of everything I do. It's like one of the most difficult things to find somebody who's like a mirror of that.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you think there's this like stigma of young people and their ability to like really commit and work hard? Are you finding that?
I hope not.
to be
I don't
true?
want to put people in a box. I always believe that like the youth is our, it's like where we should put our focus on, and I try not to put any negativity on it. I feel like somebody who is 18 might be a better assistant than somebody who is 38
50,
for
yeah,
me.
whatever. Yeah, right. Age doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I want to address a sensitive topic. I think because, as you mentioned in the sort of recap that you just gave. Oh yeah, go ahead, drink. We're taking a break as Julia drinks. So I want to bring up maybe a little bit of a sensitive topic, but you mentioned that like recently in Big's sort of immediate rise to fame recently in the past month, especially past year, especially socially, and your rise together. And because, as you mentioned, Biggs is so generous in not hiding you, not making you sign an NDA, like he posts you as much as he posts you sometimes, right? So I think there's this like stigma stereotype where it's like, oh, Julia must be sleeping with the dude. Like that's the only way she got to this position. I mean, like this is something that you must hear inklings of, right?
I had to deal with this kind of stereotype my entire life. I've always been at places or working with people, often with guys, like Italians, and people always try to find a reason why I'm working with them, or why am I at this Louis Vuitton after party or whatnot, where only like such a little crowd of people can get in. And like,
how did she get here, right?
Yes, this follows me my entire life. Like, so to the extent where I mean, it's also because the work overload was so much, but I decided, okay, since I wanted to be so focused, I don't want any rumors, let me just step back. I was like, I stopped drinking alcohol, I lived celibate for like almost 2 years. And
you lived celibate for 2 years?
Yeah. Like, I think that's like healthy. Like, it's not that like...
And counting?
Not counting, but I know it's
like to this day, or 2 years at.
I mean,
I'm getting very specific. You brought it up, but I'm getting specific now.
I was like dating, but so I was like very committed to it because I'm not about casual dating. I had 2 5-year relationships, so I'm like all or nothing kind of. And then
but you cut everything out. You were like, stop with the drinking and the.
Because also like I signed more and more clients, and I had to be on my A game. So if I drink, I'm hangover. I can't deliver. I need to like post at night. So. And then also with like here, it's very like dating is so fast, and then all the stereotyping, and I wanted to prove a point.
Why celibate though? That's like, it's not like a drug.
Because I don't sleep around. It doesn't fulfill me. So then I rather, if you're not about like a potential husband or about serious dating, then I don't even want to be involved with you. And then, but people obviously they don't know me personally, so they didn't know. And then me and Biggs traveling everywhere.
Right.
It often came up. Are you guys dating? What's going on? And as often as I would tell people no, he has his own life, his own kind of relationship. We are simple,
business clients,
business partners, clients. Nothing.
Right.
He's like my brother.
Right.
And he would like say that like whenever we meet people, we were Jerry Lorenzo in Paris, and he didn't also think he was a little confused too. And then Biggs was like, no, she's actually like my sister. She's extremely hardworking. We work together.
Right.
But to this point, it's still not really understood.
I can imagine that stereotype is so annoying. Like, it's almost like, God forbid, if you're somewhat above average in attractiveness, you couldn't have gotten to where you are without sleeping with someone.
It's tough. Like, I hear that all like this week. Like, I hear it on a weekly basis, and it's very discouraging, and it often affects me. But in the end of the day, you can't let it affect you. So I try to push through it. And I went to Nas and Kanye West listening album yesterday, and he
Okay.
had this song called Everything. When this is coming out, you guys can listen to it, the lyrics, and the lyrics speak for itself. Like, people always have their own truths. Even me telling right now that I'm not involved with any guy,
Right.
people might still assume, oh,
Yeah,
she's
they'll just
lying.
say she's
Like,
lying.
it's,
Yeah. Right.
So I can go to bed and know everything I do for myself I feel good about, and then what the world thinks.
Yeah.
Big's not gonna be the last attractive or public guy I work with.
Right.
So
Right. And just to sort of bring up some current event news, like in the light of, you know, the Me Too thing that's happening and what you just said, like, what is your thoughts and opinions on this?
I think it's very powerful that women finally come out. I had my entire life, I wasn't raped or anything, but my entire life, like, I would have meetings and an arm would slide on my thigh underneath the table, or, you know, some random stuff what I still don't feel comfortable with. Nothing I would, like, need to address to do.
Call the police about.
Yes.
But it made you feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I respect that if it goes any further for women, then of course you have to report it and have to stand up for yourself. So.
Did you think back then, pre-#MeToo, did you think, like, this is just the way business is done? Like, this is the game you have to play?
I refuse to.
Okay.
Because I find it very, like, if this is just how it is, that's horrible. So I wouldn't take that as a answer.
Yeah, right. Did you ever have to, like, cut people out that...
Often.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I felt like they don't respect me for
and they were crossing the line?
Yes, for my work I'm bringing to the table, and try to find a way to get personal with me. Like, you know?
I imagine that happens often, though.
Yeah.
Like, where people cross the line. Like, it's a client.
But I think
and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's have dinner Friday night at 10 p.m.
But I think I learned, like, to be a little bit intimidating too to a lot of guys. Seriously, which it's a curse and a blessing.
You scare them first?
I mean, I'm very vocal and I'm very, like, so you can sign a contract with me, we can do this and that, but yeah.
Okay.
I know that it's important, but that's also the fine line, because it's very important with your clients to also build a personal relationship. So obviously it's a fine line.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you find when you hire people or when you contract people to work with you, do you have a preference of, like, working with young women or young men? Like, do you work better with women or men, one or the other?
I find it a little easier to work with men.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm totally open.
Tell me why.
It's often, like, less difficult, less drama, less specific. For social media, I mean, you have to retouch a lot of images.
Yeah.
So obviously women might also need a little bit more of retouching, you know? So
because they care more, you know, like
and it's just like a womanly thing.
Right.
So
yeah.
But I had a lot of, like, female talents too, so
So what, like, you know, like we said, this is a job that I think a lot of people will want to come and do. What advice would you give to a young person trying to get into this business?
So Emery Jones, he always says, bet on yourself, which I just found out, like, recently, but I always lived by it. Like, I invested in myself since I was, like, 21, and I traveled to fashion weeks, paid out of my pockets. I had no invitation, but I just would either sneak in or I would, like, you know, talk myself into it. So the more you bet on yourself, the more you work on your goals, believe in yourself, follow your guts. I'm a big believer of, don't do anything which doesn't feel comfortable or which feels like that's not really me. Don't try to force too much, but bet on yourself, invest in yourself.
Okay. I think that's good life advice.
Yeah.
What about, like, if I want to be an image consultant for someone too, what should I do? Like, what class should I take? What's the first internship I should get? What do you think?
My class was life. So I just put myself, you have to put yourself into rooms with people you want to work with.
Yeah, like Jay-Z.
I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think it's good to have those goals, to get yourself in the rooms with people that you respect.
Yeah, you have to be ambitious, because in this kind of industry, image consultant often involves, like, people in the public eye. So you have to be ambitious and willing and confident to be around those kind of characters.
Yeah, right. Were you ever in a situation where you felt, like, intimidated by even your client because they were so big or
all the time, but I'm
wow.
trying to fake it and just like, you know,
exude the confidence.
Yes,
Yeah,
and once you build a relationship, we're all human beings. We all are exactly the same, but obviously the first impression can, like with Biggs, the first time I met him, I was totally like faking it, confident, but I was, you know,
nervous.
I was wow, this is an OG, wow, but you know, it's just a human being as we all are.
Yeah, and I think to your point about keeping it real with yourself, like, you were obviously into hip-hop culture, sneaker culture, right, street fashion, like, and these are the things that you do image consulting for. I would argue that maybe if, like, Bill Gates asked you to do image consulting, you might have a hard time working with him.
I would say yes and no, because I just, like, we were doing something big for this performance chocolate, which I don't want to mention because it's not a client of us anymore.
Okay.
But I always say I can do from pharmacy to beverage to athletes. It's really because my mind and my creativity is way broader than just sneakers like a rapper, you know. Right. So,
what did you Okay, so wait, do you consider yourself a sneakerhead?
Not at all. It really just happened since like everything just fall into place
when
I
some dope sneakers on right now.
Thank you. You know, it's just like when Soulbox hit me up. So on you go. Then I also recently worked with Concepts, another sneaker retailer.
Store,
and then with HYPEBEAST more often, like it just like came very, very organically. Yeah. So with the Nike
it's interesting
relationship,
that you don't call yourself a sneakerhead because between Soulbox, Concepts, HYPEBEAST, you are almost like sneakerhead central.
I know, and now I'm like way more like I check out, okay, what's the next release, and I'm a lot of seeding lists from Converse to Nike, gifting Mitchell Ness. So a lot of times I don't even have to buy it because I already get it before it's released. So now I would maybe call me a little sneakerhead, but only because it just came so organically. I love to wear high heels, you know. I would rather wear the newest Celine boot over a Nike sneaker, but, you know.
Right. What did you learn in traveling with Biggs, and you were like in the jugular of sneaker culture with kids trying to get those Air Force Ones and like having him sign? Were you like surprised by the fanaticism that you were seeing?
I mean, I haven't been a total stranger to it. I've been seeing on media, and especially Instagram makes it so accessible. Yeah. I mean, when you are there, it's always a different energy, and it's like very overwhelming how much they invest and they sleep over it. Like they would like wait overnight or like buy it for a tremendous amount of money. But I think that's just the culture. I'm like,
I guess it happens in every subculture, right? There's like some fanaticism going on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you got there? Did we cover everything?
I mean, I don't know if you have anything else. I'm always about the pitching debate. Like I always have the
pitching for work.
If you should or should not.
Yes, I actually had that as a question. I thought we touched it, but
no.
Okay, we could insert this. So besides, we mentioned about Biggs and how you pitched for Biggs. You sort of just went and created the work. Do you have any other bits of advice that you do when you sort of present yourself to a potential client?
So I often have the debate with friends or people in the industry. I often ask them, so do you pitch or do you rather just let the client come to you? And it's like often they would say, no, I don't pitch. That's a little too aggressive or too desperate, too thirsty, whatever you want to call it. And I completely disagree because like, especially in my beginnings, a lot of what I have now is because I was actively pitching. And I think if you believe in yourself and you know you can help the client to reach whatever next level you're working on, then why not pitch? I think that's also good advice for everybody who's trying to enter that or whatever field it is. If you pitch, sure, you might gonna have to swallow your pride in that second. Right. But if God gives you a certain work ethic or like talent, show it to the world, yes, and ask if somebody might need it. You might be surprised. Right, you might gonna land your dream job because you pitch.
Yeah, and if you didn't ask or pitch, you might not get it.
So never be too prideful. It can always open unexpected doors.
Right. Okay, great. Cool. What else? I think that's it.
How long did we record?
An hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cool.
Felt like way shorter.
No, that was great. That was really awesome. And I got everything covered.
Was it humble enough? I don't want to come across...
No, I think it was the perfect balance.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And how short do you think you're going to Cut it down.
Maybe. I think on average we cut like about 20 minutes out of most interviews, so it might end up being like a 40-minute thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.